The board meeting for May 16th. I call this meeting to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Daney?
Here.
Gansey?
Here.
Gunstein?
Here.
Hopkins?
Here.
Laporte?
Here.
Sawansky?
Here.
President Wallace.
Here. We have requested our honored guest this evening, Reverend Susan Tyrell, to do our invocation. Reverend, thank you for being here.
Let us pray. Spirit God, we thank you for these days of spring, blessing us with renewal and opportunity. We ask for your presence to quiet us into focus. May your guidance, insight, and wisdom be upon this group for meaningful and equitable discussion. And through all deliberations and decision-making, may your grace and goodness be noticed by those called to serve the village and all gathered this night. May the bonds of community and care be strengthened by energy, time, and passion, all for the good of the village. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This brings us to our consent agenda this evening. All items listed on the consent agenda will be acted in one motion. There'll be no separate discussion on the items on the consent agenda. That being said, would anyone like to add or remove anything from the consent this evening? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, which this evening will include the board minutes from May 2, 2023, the bills list from May 16, 2023. The consent this evening will also include items under License and Ordinance Committee, items D1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Before we have a second on that,
We need a motion.
before we make a motion on that, I'd like to add,
Oh, yeah, we got the back page.
yeah, that's why I missed it. I'd like to add, under Public Works, I'd like to add F7.
Okay, is there any discussion around F7?
I think you need to add F3, 4, 5, and 6 also in your.
Yeah,
That's
F3, 4,
right.
5, and 6.
Right.
You want to add F7?
Right.
Okay. All right, so I will approve an amended consent agenda, which includes F7 on our consent.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Daney, seconded by Trustee Gunstein. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Gunstein?
Yes.
Hopkins?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
Sawansky?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
Gansey?
Yes.
That motion carries. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve the amended consent.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Daney, seconded by Trustee Sawansky. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Hopkins?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
Sawansky?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
Gansey?
Yes.
Gunstein?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item we have this evening is the Treasurer's Report. Mr. Treasurer?
Thank you. Included in your packets is the Treasurer's Report for the month of March. Also included is the sales tax report. This accounts for our December activity. We received $452,524. That was up about $144,000. There was some year-end catch-up, I think, going on in that month. January looks like it's back down to normal. Also included is the motor fuel tax. We received $127,842. That was down about $9,000, which is kind of trending where we've been the last few months. So that's it for the Treasurer's Report, unless there's any questions.
I think just next time also, I just requested each time we do the Treasurer's Report that we add what we're losing in LGDF, so we can keep track of that each time we do it.
Okay, we've been including that in this as well. So we've received $6 million this year in LGDF. If we would have been receiving the full amount, we would be at just 9.9 million. So we're about 3.9 million short right now for this year.
3.9 million is what it cost us this year.
3 or 2.
3.9 million. Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Does anybody have any questions for the Treasurer? Hearing none, we'll move on to the President's Report. We have 2 proclamations this evening. The first proclamation is National Public Works Week Proclamation, May 21 through 27, 2023. Connecting the world through public works. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the village of Bartlett. Whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services cannot be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in the village of Bartlett to gain knowledge of and to maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2023 marks the 63rd annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Now therefore, I, Kevin Wallace, Village President, do hereby designate the week of May 21 through 27, 2023 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. Dated the 16th day of May, 2023. Thank you, Dan, for all your hard work.
Thanks, Dan.
And here for this one. Finally, in the President's report, we have a proclamation celebrating the retirement of Pastor Susan Tyrell of Emmanuel United Church of Christ. Whereas Emmanuel United Church of Christ Pastor Susan Tyrell earned her Bachelor of Arts degree from Elmhurst College, a UCC-affiliated college, and went on to earn her Master of Divinity degree from Andover Newton Theological School near Boston. And whereas Reverend Tyrell first served as an associate minister from 1984 until 1988 at St. Paul UCC in Elgin, where she and her husband Arthur live and where they raised their 2 children, while she simultaneously filled in for clergy all over the Fox Valley area and took on a variety of wider church roles. Whereas Reverend Tyrell also served as adjunct minister at Emmanuel UCC in Streamwood from 1994 to 2007, as a part-time youth minister at St. Paul UCC, Elgin from 2005 to 2008, and as a hospital chaplain intern at Advocate Good Shepherd Hospital in Barrington during 2009. And whereas since 2010, Pastor Susan Tyrell has joyfully served Emmanuel United Church of Christ and has been instrumental in continuing this congregation's practice of being both a united and uniting church, sponsoring Boy Scout Troop 26, extending its facilities to other local groups like AA, and embracing the wider Bartlett community by joining in village celebrations and events. And whereas during her 13-year tenure, Pastor Sue kindly presided over the blessing of pets at Bartlett Park during her Heritage Days. Merrily opened the church doors each year for holiday open house, Granny's Attic, craft sale and bake sale to accompany the village's annual tree lighting, and supported the work of the Bartlett History Museum by making the archival records of Bartlett's oldest continuing congregation readily available and helping to increase residents' knowledge and awareness of our rich heritage. Now, therefore, I, Kevin Wallace, President of the Village of Bartlett, Cook, DuPage, and Kane counties, offer our many, many thanks to Pastor Susan Tyrell for her years of compassionate ministry and church leadership, and for generously including our Bartlett community with Emmanuel United Community of Faith and Fellowship. We wish you a retirement filled with good health and much happiness, dated the 16th day of May, 2023. Congratulations.
we're good.
They'll be able to see.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Want to get through.
I looked at this earlier. So he doesn't have a shirt. There's some new colors, so I'm a little excited about that.
He's always pressing the flesh.
Well, you came at the right time of the meeting. The best part now is it's boring after this. Doesn't get any better.
It's very exciting after this.
Thank you all for being here. That is it for the president's report. Next item we have is questions. Anybody have any questions for staff?
No, I don't have any questions, but I'd just like to recognize some of our commissioners that have a great length of service. We have Gerald Cabasco. He's been with the Economic Development for over 43 years. Adam Lewinsky is also with the Economic Development Commission. He's been with that commission for over 4 years. Guy Papa and Ken Parcell both are with the Fire and Police Commission for over a year. So congratulations, gentlemen. Thank you for your service.
Anything else?
Yes, I would like to thank Bartlett Hills for a wonderful Mother's Day brunch. It was very nice, you did a great job, the food was fantastic, service was great, good atmosphere. Thank you.
Good deal. We don't have Paul here today, but
No,
I'd
he'll be
I'd like to ask,
Phil will take
how the-
credit for it. Yeah,
how'd the
right.
fishing derby go?
He'll take
How did the
credit.
fishing derby go, Chief?
Thank you for asking. It was our largest crowd we've ever had. I just want to give credit to our crime prevention team, Tracy Denninger and Michael Bingham. Everybody just had a really good time, including all the police officers. It was just nice seeing all the kids catch any size fish from small to very big. So once again, thanks for asking.
Excellent.
Well, you got the microphone, Chief. What was the cause of the train delay or train crossing that was blocked for about an hour or so?
At 59?
Was that through our downtown Bartlett last week?
It's something to do, I believe, with the air brakes, maybe? So what happened was, initially it was blocking, it was a CN train. And initially it blocked all the railroad crossings from Prospect, Oak, and even at Western. And we reached out to them, and they actually dragged the train so we could open up one of the intersections. And as it continued westbound, it continued to have issues at Naperville Road.
Okay. I just think it's important to let the residents know about this and the fact that this is why we're fighting the train merger so diligently as a united front with other villages, because this particular small incident is just going to get larger and larger as this train merger facilitates. And I think, from an emergency services standpoint, I don't know if you guys were prepared on the other side of town, but I'm hoping that nothing drastic was happening.
Yeah, so we were fortunate it wasn't rush hour. However, we were well prepared because we've been talking about what could happen with the train merger. So once it blocked all the intersections in the downtown area, we had police personnel north of the tracks to make sure in case something happened, we would be prepared for that. I also want to give a shout out to Hanover Township. They came out and did a tremendous job just directing traffic to allow us to do other assignments and what we needed to do in town.
Thank you.
I think we had another one, too, on the tracks that run at 59 and Struckman that was backed up for well over an hour. There was an engine, because it backed up to Munger, too. And maybe you could,
So the one that you're referring to initially started off that, as a precaution, they had to stop the train along the intersection because kids were playing on the tracks. And then it was Murphy's Law after that was clear, there was engine trouble, and that's what caused the issue. With that one, it blocked Illinois near Struckman, and then also blocked the Munger Road crossing as well.
kids were playing on tracks. There you go.
I used to, and that was good. Just as a point of record, we have actually submitted the appeal, the coalition has submitted the appeal of the merger to the STB. So I don't, yeah, last week that went through, right? And Bartlett was a part of that, so that's good. Anything else for staff? All right, now we'll move on to the town hall portion of the meeting. During this part of the meeting, if anyone would like to address the board, kindly step up to the podium and state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 3 minutes. Would anyone like to address the board at this time? Mr. Kaiser?
I can see if I can get this right. Brent Kaiser, 1565 Wood Creek Trail, Bartlett, Illinois. And I am here representing the 4th of July Committee and bringing some concerns to the village. Over the past few years, we've seen quite a drop in groups that volunteer. And I think that many of the people in the village don't realize that the village doesn't run the 4th of July Committee. I have a lot of people.
Thank goodness.
Well, you know, we did have
guys
the
do a
mayor, we
heck
did
of
have
a
the mayor
job.
call bingo once, so that was, you know, a highlight. But that has caused us to have a drop in volunteers, and we need, besides the volunteers that are on the committee, we require groups to volunteer to run the beer, to sell beer, and to run the bingo tents. And so, just for instance, this year, we have 2 groups willing to work bingo on Friday and Saturday, but nobody on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
So that's the kind of thing, and this has been happening more and more. And so if I can get any help from the village as far as the Bartletter, the TV channel, any publicity to let people know we
We
need,
can do all of the above, right? Can we put it on our website? If we put it on the website, help needed for the groups needed?
Do you
and then
have a-
some examples of what groups volunteer
In the
there?
time slots.
yeah, well, the bingo can be arranged whatever they want. We'll work with them because it's a day. You get a day and you get to split the revenue.
Yeah,
Group does
I
that.
talked to Tom Aarons last week,
Did you?
and I was able to get the Bartlett Rotary Club,
Okay.
take the Monday night bingo, which is July 3rd, and we committed from 5 o'clock to 11.
Thank you.
So we've
I
got,
greatly appreciate it. I have to talk to Tom about why he didn't call me about that.
Is it just in the evening for bingo?
It can be during the day, it can be whatever time they want. They get it, we dole out a day,
Okay.
and they can set their own hours. Some people don't want to do it during the day. Some people, you know, just during the night because you get more action, and more people wanting to pull those cards and gamble and win the big dollars, I guess.
you know, what's so interesting about it is last year, Bartlett Rotary Club, it was the first year that we did it, and we were understaffed, so to speak. And I know so many of us were on our feet from 5 o'clock to 11 o'clock. And we're trying to get more people to help Bartlett Rotary, you know, including our families. So that would be a part of it. But the point I'm trying to make is that we raised almost $4,000 in one evening
Yeah.
for the causes that the Bartlett Rotary Club supports. So it's beneficial for some of these people, clubs and church groups, whatever the case may be, to get involved in this activity because you can raise a substantial amount of money in one evening's worth of work.
Yes, thank you. That's good publicity. You could pass that along to a lot more people because as we go on, this has been a trend, and we did have no bingo one year because we couldn't get anybody.
Yeah,
so.
I remember that.
Is there a contact list available for most of the organizations in the community? Do we have that?
Sure, besides
Anywhere?
the website and the Facebook page, if that doesn't work, oh God, I can't believe I'm going to say this. You can try Garland Kaiser, Garland Kaiser, Kizer, @gmail.com, and I am the chairman, so I will make sure.
Sure, I meant like a database of organizations, like is there anywhere that keeps?
That I don't have.
Yeah, it's on our website, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I know
Reach out to
we've reached out to them, but I think we need as much help as we can get. So if anybody's a member, they can try to push their group, as Ray did, and we'll greatly appreciate it.
Who does the
How
group?
many people are you looking to fill and what days for beer tent?
You know, at the moment, I thought I needed at least 3 groups for bingo. Now it looks like I might only need 2. I don't have the latest update, but
It's a lot.
we still need a lot. We can always use people to do beer too.
Well, plus there's an extra day this year.
Yeah, correct.
Yes, it's a 5-day. We're working really hard to try to limit that down to 4. But when the 4th of July comes on a Tuesday, that gets a little, how do you do it? So,
You guys do a great job, so we'll do whatever we can.
okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Brent. Anyone else like to address the board at this time?
Hi, my name's Teresa Materna. My address is 329 West North Avenue in Bartlett. And some of this was addressed when you were talking about the train, but just living on the north side, and now that the fire station is under construction, is there a contingency plan with maybe Streamwood or Hanover Park or other things for emergency services to get to our side of the tracks? Because there are no emergency services located on the north side of the tracks.
Jeff, are you in a communication with the fire department? It might be a good idea to stop in their board meeting too.
It's actually tomorrow night at the police department.
Yeah. They're holding them at the police department now?
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah, the Fire Protection District is part of the coalition, and they've been at the emergency responders meeting with me, so they're fully aware of what's going on. And I can't speak what type of mutual aid they use. I believe it's Mavis. But for us, if we can't get a car there very quickly over our radio, we can get in touch with Hanover Park or Streamwood, towns like that, to give us assistance.
Okay, because I just know I've noticed, it's kind of nice in a way, because I'm not seeing the trucks go down our street as often to get to West Bartlett Road and stuff, but it's just also scary at the same time living on that side if this were to happen and it were to be a prolonged incident longer than the one that occurred.
Yeah. Thank you for being here,
Thank you.
Teresa. And thanks for bringing that to our attention. Would anyone else like to address the board at this time? We got Chris on there? Chris, is anybody online?
No, Mayor, there is not.
Thank you, Chris. All right, we're moving on to standing committee reports. First standing committee report this evening is Building and Zoning Committee, Chairman Gunstein.
Thank you, President Wallace. We have nothing to report tonight.
Thank you, Chairman Gunstein. Community and Economic Development Committee, Chairman Gansey.
Thank you, President Wallace. We have one item. It's a resolution authorizing a judicial appeal against the Surface Transportation Board in response to the final environmental impact statement approving the merger of Canadian Pacific and Kansas City Southern Railroads. So the STB is part of the merger evaluation process, conducted an environmental impact statement that approved the merger of CPKCS. The communities along the Milwaukee District West Rail Line and DuPage County have joined together in a coalition, the Stop CPKC Coalition, to fight this merger and represent our common interests regarding the merger. We have raised our concerns regarding the increased noise and vibration the trains will cause, the increased safety concerns relative to the additional train traffic and hazardous materials transportation, emergency response impact, interference with commuter access, and our transit-oriented development plans in our downtown. The objections we raised resulted in additional requirements for the railroads, such as a longer monitoring period, providing hazardous materials training, and protection of quiet zones. However, the requirements imposed by the STB do not go far enough to protect our communities. The agreement before the board for consideration is to authorize a judicial appeal against the STB in response to the final environmental impact statement approving the merger. I move to approve Resolution 2023-43R, a resolution authorizing the judicial appeal against the Surface Transportation Board in response to the final environmental impact statement approving the merger of the Canadian Pacific and Kansas City Southern Railroads.
I'll second that.
Moved by trustee Gansey, seconded by trustee Daney. Is there any discussion?
How many communities are involved in this?
I think we have 8.
Yeah.
DuPage County.
Are all the communities involved willing to approve up to $100,000?
They already have.
Yeah.
That's under the current agreement that we all have first established, and we haven't reached the limit of those funds.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Laporte,
Yes.
Swansky,
Yes.
Daney,
Yes.
Gansey,
Yes.
Gunstein,
Yes.
Hopkins.
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, Chairman Gansey. Next item we have is our Finance Committee, Chairman Laporte.
Thank you, President Wallace. I have 2 items on the agenda. The first one is, I'll hand over to you. It's the annual appointment of villager officer by the village president with the advice and consent of the board.
Appointment of or advising officer. Intend to appoint this, and we'll be looking for a motion to concur with the appointment.
Make the motion.
Yep, I make the motion. I move to approve the appointment of Francis Bongiovanni of Addison, Denolfo, Hasenbog, and Castaldo LTD as the administrative hearing officer for the village of Bartlett.
Second.
Second that. Go ahead.
The second item I have is the resolution approving of the.
Wait.
Do a roll call to approve
We have
that.
to vote.
Hold on. So it was moved by trustee Laporte, seconded by trustee Swansky. Is there any discussion?
No.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Swansky,
Yes.
Daney,
Yes.
Gansey,
Yes.
Gunstein,
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Laporte.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay. So now I propose the resolution approving of the professional service agreement between the Village of Bartlett and Francis Bongiovanni and Addison Denolfo, Hasenbog, and Castaldo LTD for professional services agreement for fiscal year 2023-2024. Francis Bongiovanni would be the administrative hearing officer. He will act as the village's administrative hearing officer and preside at village administrative adjudication hearings for motor vehicle seizure and impoundments. I move to approve Resolution 2023-44-R, a resolution approving of professional service agreement between the Village of Bartlett and Francis Bongiovanni, Addison Denolfo, Hasenbog, and Castaldo LTD.
Second that.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, see that?
Moved by trustee Laporte, seconded by trustee Daney. Is there any discussion?
What was the reason for the change?
This guy's been there for 8 years. Somebody else listening to the adjudication?
Set it up?
Yep. Any other discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Daney,
Yes.
Gansey,
Yes.
Gunstein,
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Laporte,
Yes.
Swansky.
Yes.
That motion carries. I believe that's it for you, Chairman Laporte. Thank you very much. License and Ordinance Committee, Chairman Hopkins.
Thank you, President Wallace. Item D1, D2, D3, D4, and D5 were covered under the consent agenda tonight.
Thank you,
That's all we
Chairman
have.
Thank you, Chairman Hopkins. Police and Health Committee, Chairman Swansky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Police and Health has one item on the agenda this evening. Item E1, the MAP 114 Collective Bargaining Agreement, undisputed items, retroactive pay. On May the 5th, 2023, the village reached out to MAP and received agreement to ask the village board for approval to move forward on implementing the undisputed financial terms of the collective bargaining agreement being worked on. With the board's approval, payments to the officers will be processed in the days to follow. A final collective bargaining agreement will be brought for approval when it is completed. I move to approve the payout of the undisputed financial terms for the period of May 1st, 2021 to April 30th, 2023 for the Metropolitan Alliance of Police Chapter 114, collective bargaining agreement for wages, merit pay, uniform allowance, and protective vest reimbursement.
I'll second the motion.
Moved by trustee Swansky, seconded by trustee Laporte. Is there any discussion?
How close are we on like a final agreement with the police union?
The language that we're still working on is for the body-worn cameras. We've presented MAP with language several times, language that is almost identical to other agreements that they have approved in other communities, and we have yet to get a agreement from the union. I think if we don't get something soon, we'll go back to the arbitrator and express our concerns.
Thank you.
This has been through arbitration, though, correct? Wasn't this contract through arbitration?
It was. The arbitrator made final decisions on the wage portion and suggested that we go back and negotiate the language on body-worn cameras with the union and come to an agreement that way. He gave us 2 weeks to do that, and we haven't been able to reach an agreement.
Can you tell us what the dispute is between, or what the disagreement is?
Language and policy and how the body-worn cameras footage is used. Jeff, would that be an accurate? And yes, and then therefore the discipline portion, once viewing the tape from the cameras and how that's implemented. So that's the contentious part.
Thank you.
Good questions. Any other discussion?
Do other municipalities have the same issue with this language?
No. I would say that there are the communities that we took that language from have been able to reach an agreement with MAP. So we're a little befuddled with why we're having such a hard time.
But there are different chapters of MAP.
There are, and they have different attorneys.
And the issue.
Thank you.
Anything else? The clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Gansey?
Yes.
Gunstein?
Yes.
Hopkins?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
Swansky?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
That motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have nothing further.
Thank you, Chairman Swansky. Public Works and Golf Committee, Chairman Daney.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first item on our agenda is a resolution approving the Devon Access Flow Lift Station Agreement between the Village of Bartlett and Martin Construction Company. The village received one bid for the Devon Access Flow Lift Station. Martin Construction Incorporated was the lone bidder at $4,847,708. The bid is approximately 17% over the engineer's estimate, with a lot of the increase being due to the current market and bidding climate. Martin has performed similar work throughout the area. The village hired engineering firm for this project, Engineering Enterprises, reviewed the bid and recommends accepting the bid and awarding Martin Construction Incorporated the Devon Access Flow Lift Station project. Staff will continue to evaluate the project for any additional savings that may be had. The recommendation, the bid tab, and contract are attached, to which obviously the audience can't see it, but we reviewed it. In an effort to keep sewer rates down for residents, the village plans to utilize the previously allocated bond funds of $8.5 million plus $2 million in American Rescue Plan Act ARPA funds. The remaining funds required would come from the sewer fund reserve balance. An unpaid capital improvement plan sheet is also attached for reference, but again, obviously you can't see that. So with that, we're recommending that Martin Construction be awarded this contract. And with that, I make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-45. A resolution approving of the agreement between the Village of Bartlett and Martin Construction Incorporated for the Devon Access Flow Lift Station project. Need a second on that.
Second?
I'll second the motion.
Moved by trustee Daney, seconded by trustee Laporte. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I do have some questions on this. This particular one, I actually questioned it. I don't know why we can't go back to the engineers now and try to get them to redesign it to save some money rather than wait for the post-construction savings and then bring it back out to bid. I'm just trying to figure out if that's a feasible option.
Dan, you and I had conversations about this, please.
During the whole design, and, we've spent a lot of time on these projects, we've narrowed down the design of the lift station as much as we possibly can. We're looking at items within the bid that we can delete, and we come back to the board with a change order, similar to what we did with the Bittersweet Treatment Plant project. Some of those items are like, we included the demo of the existing excess flow facility. We could do that with our crews or at a separate time. There's a metering vault that we can live without. So those are some of the things that we're looking at. As far as redesigning it, we already have this thing as cheap as we possibly can, we believe. It's a big pump station. Unfortunately, the market in materials right now are high. And we even had a pre-bid meeting with the contractors. We had several general contractors pick it up. Unfortunately, only the one bid. We did talk to several of the ones that picked up. They're just swamped with work. And with the material delays of everything, we ended up allowing more time to complete it, hoping that that would get us some more bids. Unfortunately, it didn't. But to rebid, I don't know when a good time to rebid is because, 6 months, it doesn't, based on the conversations we had with the contractors that picked up the bid, 6 months isn't going to do it. Is a year going to do it? I don't know. And would the prices be higher or lower? Your guess is as good as mine. We're in a crazy market right now. Some things come in, we had previous projects earlier this year that came in and came in at a decent price, but these, for whatever reason, did not.
Where's our deadline for needing to get this and to get it done?
Our agreement with the MWRD for them to take the excess flow is July of '24. Right now, it's unlikely that we would, even if we award tonight, it's unlikely that we're going to meet that deadline just because of the delays in equipment. But, we got to try to get it done as quickly as possible. The other deadline is with the IEPA, which I believe our permit will get renewed in 2025, and that's when they're going to put the new limit on the 85% removal issue that we ran into. So
I'm not a developer, but I had a developer mention whether this is going to be accurate or not going forward. We don't have crystal balls. That in 2024, that some prices, we might look to see some prices reduce. Have you heard anything? Have you any indication of that?
that prices will reduce? I haven't heard that at all. Because we're talking about it all the time with the treatment plant and all the projects we have going on. It is a crystal ball at this point. No one can guarantee or say whether prices are going up or down, unfortunately.
Okay, so did we discuss this before? We discussed this a couple of meetings back, I think. Did this come up? And you indicated at that time that we could look at removing some of the, I don't know if it was necessarily redoing the design, but removing some things that we might not have to go forward with. Was it this project? I thought we had a discussion about this.
I'm trying to.
Maybe in the budget review somewhere?
I'm trying to recall if we talked about it. I mean, we've gone through and tried to reduce every spare piece that we possibly can, trying to make it, I mean, originally we were having a building, we went with these prefabbed pump cases instead. I mean, we've kind of redesigned this lift station over and over, trying to narrow down and reduce the cost as much as possible. We feel we're there, it's just, right now, the price is not cheap. I'm not sure what changes we could make at this point.
Does Martam, do they specialize in lift stations?
They've done several lift stations. We've done plenty of work with Martam in the past. They're a good contractor. I've talked to them about it. They actually threw out some ideas as far as some cost savings, so we're looking at that. A lot of the cost savings are, it's not 100% cost savings. It's, you do it as a separate project. So like the demo, we still would need to get someone in there to demo, but we would save the money up front. It's something that we could probably tackle some of the work ourselves, and then probably get a demo contractor to do more of the concrete work, that type of stuff. But, so those are the things that we're looking at. It's net, it'll still be a savings, but there will be some cost later on in order to actually complete the demo, that type of stuff, so.
Well, I appreciate you guys putting the APRA funds towards this to help reduce the cost for the sewer budget, because our residents are definitely feeling the pinch with the increased water and sewer rates lately, so I appreciate that.
I did have one other point I was going to get to with Dan. Is it feasible, based off of the amount of work that's out there right now, and construction workers are busier than they know what to do with, so when they look at a larger project of this nature, they get a little scared time-wise. It's going to take up a lot of their resources. So being in construction, I look for smaller jobs to fill in. Would it be feasible to break this job up into 2 or 3 smaller jobs to make it more attractive and appealing to mid-level contractors who are very capable of doing the work?
We did, I mean, that's why we broke up the lift station versus the force main. I don't know how you would break the lifts. I mean, you could, if you ended up like generaling it yourself, I guess you'd have to like hire an excavator to dig the hole and then hire a concrete guy to do the concrete work. And then buy the, you know, you'd be kind of generaling it yourself, I guess. I don't know how much that would save in the long run. We did, I mean, this, I think the completion time frame, we ended up giving them 2 years or darn near 2 years, just because we know that the equipment is taking about, you know, motor control centers are taking like a year to get. So we didn't want to have, and it was the pre-bid meeting that we found out what that was and what they would be comfortable with, and we set the time based on that, hoping that would get bidders to turn in, because they didn't have to worry about being hit with liquidated damage or something like that, because they couldn't get the materials and that type of stuff. So we thought we were giving plenty of time for the contractors to be able to do it. It just sounds like they're all booked up right now and through this year for sure, and they don't know, you know, because of, I think what's happening over the last couple of years with the material delays and all the work that's out there, they're bidding work and they're getting backlogged because they're not getting the material. So now they're like backlogged. They're not sure when certain projects are going to let loose and get the materials. So they're afraid right now to overextend themselves anymore, because if that stuff all broke free, if all of a sudden materials became available, now they got too much work, they don't have enough people to get it done. I think that's what we're hearing from the contractors is what's going on. So they're being a little bit more cautious, taking on more work because they're concerned of when things will let loose, so.
Yeah.
What kind of fines would we look at if we don't meet these deadlines?
The way it would, well, so there's 2 things that we'd have to look at. We'd have to go back, we may have to go back to MWRD and ask for another extension. If they at some point say no, then we're dealing with taking that excess flow through our existing facility, which is possible at that point then to have a violation with the IEPA permit. with the EPA, they can start assessing fine. Once you start back in, I think it was 2016, that's what kind of got us started in this whole thing. We ended up getting a violation notice from the EPA in 2016 because we couldn't meet the limit on that excess flow facility. So at that point, they say, okay, how are you going to remedy it and when? And then they'll work with us, and they can get to the point where they assess fines, or they basically force you to make the improvements to make sure you're either meeting the limit, or in our case, we'd be eliminating that discharge so we won't have a discharge anymore.
Last point from me. Does the contract with Martam Construction guarantee that they're not going to submit price escalations for labor in 2024 as things start increasing?
I believe, yes, I believe once we lock in, we're
We're
good
not
to
going
go
to
as
see a
far
change
as.
order for delays that turn into labor
For
increases?
labor, correct.
Just making sure.
Could Engineer Enterprises, the engineering firm, be the general contractor for us?
They don't really do, I would have to ask them, I don't believe they do that type of work, like a design build type thing. I don't believe so. At least I haven't heard of them doing that. I can ask them. We'll have an engineering contract if the project moves forward for construction engineering that we'll have to bring forward with the board probably next month, but I wanted to kind of get these moving forward.
Dan, I wanted to ask you one thing, and I forgot to do it the other night. I don't know if you can answer this or not, but typically, would you have any idea, or would you like to just take a wild guess on what the potential fine could be if we're found in violation? I don't know if there's any set number for that. I think it's at their arbitrary, it's.
I'm not sure. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, we would be working with EPA to avoid trying to get any
course, of
fines,
course.
explain. I mean, we've been working on this for years, so we
Right.
would be going back to them and showing them all the different options
Yeah, I
and
would-
everything we've been doing to try to
Yeah, I was just
to avoid
curious
that.
if you had a feel at all for it. I know that's a very open-ended question, and I expected you to answer as you did, so.
We would try to avoid that at all costs.
Right.
I just think that we've gotten to this point, and we've gotten creative on how we can fix this issue, and it's about $1.1 million over in a total budget estimate between the two jobs, and if you're asking anybody in finance, prices never go down. So we've got it under control, we found a way to pay for the excess amount. I say we just get it done.
Yeah. It's been a very creative method of getting the payment for this, so.
So we have a motion. Is there any other discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Gunstein?
Yes.
Hopkins?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
Sawansky?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
Gansey?
Yes.
That motion carries.
Right. Then the next item on our agenda is hit the wrong button. This is the Devon Force Main Project Award. The village received a total of 7 bids for the Force Main. Bids range from $5,508,000 to $7,375,246, with Performance Construction and Engineering the low bidder. The low bid is approximately 2.7% over the engineer's estimate of $5,363,689, with a lot of the increase being due to the current supply chain and material acquisition climate. Performance has performed similar work throughout the area, including water main work in Bartlett, associated with the transition to Lake Michigan water. The village hired engineering firm for this project, Engineering Enterprises, received the bids and recommends accepting the bid and awarding Performance Construction and Engineering, LLC, the Devon Access Flow Force Main Project. The recommendation, bid tab, and contract, again, are attached for your review. Again, we've seen that. In an effort to keep sewer rates down for residents, the village plans to utilize the previously allocated bond funds of $8.5 million plus $2 million in American Rescue Plan Act funds. Any remaining funds required would come from the fund balance within the sewer fund. An updated capital improvement plan sheet is also attached for reference. Again, we've reviewed that. Staff is recommending awarding this project and entering into an agreement with Performance Construction and Engineering LLC for the Devon Access Flow Force Main Project. With that, I move to approve Resolution 2023-46-R, a resolution approving of the agreement between the Village of Bartlett and Performance Construction and Existing and Engineering LLC for the Devon Access Flow Force Main Project.
Second.
Moved by trustee Daney, seconded by trustee Swansky. Is there any discussion on this portion?
I had a question just in general. For the last project and this project, can you just reiterate what the useful life of each of these projects is? So when do we have to revisit this? 50 years down the road, 60 years down the road? I think it's important to see if we're spending the money now, how long it's going to last us.
The life of the lift station and force mains will be beyond 50 years. You'll have to do like the pieces that wear out, like the pumps, you'll have to replace pumps. But as far as the structure and that, it'll be there for 50+ years. The pipeline that we're putting in the ground for the force main is, it's a PVC pipe, so the life of that is yet to be determined, but that should be well over 50 years. But as, things break, so you'll have to make repairs on it. But as far as replacement, I don't know how old the Herrick House force main was. That's well over 50, and we replaced that force main this past year. So you're looking at 50+.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
A general question then, too. This is all taking into account projects that may include increased residency, right, and increased usage?
Yep. Yes. Yep. It factors all the vacant land, and actually factors in the downtown master plan of where potential residential could come into play. It's all factored into that.
Thank you.
As far as the construction goes, how bad is it going to inconvenience some residents where this pipeline is going to go?
It'll be in the roadway, so you're going to have that disturbance it's going to be similar to when we were in town doing the water main transmission down Stearns Road and those areas. So it's going to be a moving operation, so they'll be putting in pipe. And we've been talking to this contractor as well to find out where we can try to save some money, and they threw out, like right now, you're going to have stone that goes back in, and the question right now, we have temporary pavement going down to keep the dust, because it's a long way to go. So we want to, as we're going, we want to cover it up and try to minimize the impact to the residents. We could save money by not doing that, but then you're dealing with a gravel surface for months and the dust and everything else. So those are the trade-offs of trying to save money, but the inconvenience to the public is at the same time. So those are some of the things that we're looking at.
Can we definitely communicate early and often with the residents that this might impact?
Yeah.
Good idea.
So back to what you said, indirectly, some of this will benefit future growth. So we're spending the money now, but we may recoup some of it down the road, in general terms.
We won't have to spend it down the road. Yeah.
We're setting up so we're covered no matter what growth comes in. We won't have to upsize a pipe or do anything like that. We're making sure that we're covered for any future growth that were to come. So, yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
No other discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Hopkins?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes.
Swansky?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
Gansey?
Yes.
Gunstein?
Yes.
That motion carries.
Mr. President, agenda items F3, F4, F5, F6, and F7 were covered under consent, and we have nothing else for this evening.
Thank you, Chairman Daney. Does anyone have any new business they would like to discuss?
I would like at a board meeting in the near future to bring back our chicken and our bee ordinance to kind of.
Which comes first, the chicken or the bee?
I don't know, but kind of update it a little bit, maybe make some small modifications to it.
Is that because of the price of eggs?
They are high.
I'm really disappointed that my back neighbor got rid of their chickens, because we were getting all kinds of eggs. Yeah, that's a good idea. We should probably review that, because I think we said when we started, we were going to look at it every so often and see how it's working, so maybe at the next committee, we can get an update of how many there are, where they're at.
Oh, really?
Like a resident has one bee and the other one has one bee? Very small jar of honey.
Isn't it them?
Second row?
Oh, wow.
That's a good idea to review it then.
Didn't see anything.
Yeah, when we do that at committee, it'd be great to see all of the complaints that we've gotten involving those two things, and then we'll just decide if we need to extend it or whatever. Good idea, Trustee Hopkins. Anything else? Any new business? Any questions for staff?
I know we approved a road salt purchase in this agenda item, but did we use quite a bit of salt last year, or did we have a lot left over? Are we buying less because of that?
Yes, yes, and yes. We didn't use as much, so we have a nice reserve, and that allowed us to reduce our quantity to purchase. But I will also say that each year we've been overall reducing the amount of salt we use by using more of the liquids. You see the white lines that we put out there, that's really proving to help us a lot. And it's reducing the amount of salt that we need to use. So the more we can do, the better, so.
Perfect.
Hope you don't have to use it until December.
You just
Now that I
jinxed us.
mention
Now we're gonna have, I got my snowblower out once last year. Now Trustee Hopkins says I'm gonna have to have my snowblower out like 10 or 15 times.
I'll take a winter like that all the time.
Yeah. Any other new business anyone would like to discuss? I would just like to say, in general, speaking of the 4th of July, I think we should just get the word out for the public that it's 5 days. I think it's gonna be a real challenge for the chief and for our safety. For the safety of residents, that's a long time to have some of these streets with parking all over the place, so.
What day is fireworks?
Fireworks, I think, is, what's that? Tuesday the 4th is
And
fireworks.
they're earlier this year. We moved it up a half hour, yes. Yep.
Yeah, so if we can get the word out on that stuff, that would be good, just whatever way we can.
I just,
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
By Trustee Daney, seconded by Trustee Gansey. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Laporte,
yes.
Swansky,
Yes.
Daney,
Yes.
Gansey,
Yes.
Gunstein,
Yes.
Hopkins.
Yes.
We are adjourned.